All right, everybody. It's the second part of our Best of 2024 episode. Thank you all for another great year. There is a video version of this on the Patreon, as well as an ad-free version, patreon.com/late night. And mostly, I say this in the episode, but I want to say it again here. Just thank you all for being a part of this community, for listening to the show and supporting us in all the ways you do. And thanks also to Leighton for doing this with me for, almost 5 years now. And to our video editor, Rich, and to Jarek Centeno, big part of this show for a long time. And just a wonderful guy. So anyway, thank you to everybody. Enjoy the second part of our Best of 2020. You were mentioning, when we were doing a little preamble here, you said armed and dangerous to describe your track on your session.
Yes.
And that made me think of a thing. Actually, for whatever reason, for the last week, I've been thinking about the trope where someone sees like a sexy woman and goes, dangerous curves ahead.
Has anyone never said that?
It's like a classic, I don't know, it's like an 80s noir kind of thing. It's so awful. And for whatever reason, it's just been in my head like, dangerous curves.
Good Lord.
Mm-hmm.
In our preamble, I looked off camera and then started laughing very hard. And I've been doing laundry, which, having a small dog who loves being under things, she loves to instantly spoil my plans. But I took a pile.
Wait, are you texting this?
Yeah. I took a pile of freshly laundered towels and, right before we got on, I was folding them, so I haven't been able to put them away. Naturally, I look over and this is what I see.
I'm very excited for this.
Yeah.
With the wow, that is perfect.
It's a little maybe towel lasagna.
That's really perfect. That's exactly what, yes.
And she's getting her, I love, there are a ton of things that are fresh for her to get on, but of course she goes straight to clean towels.
Mm-hmm.
She just licked her tongue. The tongue was out and she gave it a little, in that
Can you
same
lick
vein,
your own tongue? Ooh, what is the sound of one tongue licking?
This podcast.
Yeah. I think I can make it probably.
In like an hour, I'm going to have to run upstairs and put more time on my blanket that always requires 2 runs in the dryer. But the pressure of, in the course of me doing my several rounds of laundry, now there's another one of my neighbor's baskets like behind mine. So now I feel the pressure.
Waiting. Yep.
But I had to write a note and I figured you'd appreciate this note that I'm going to have to
leave. Load is still wet. Hell yeah, baby. Well, speaking of wetness, I feel like we have to address the elephant in the room, which is our breakout new Christmas song.
Yeah.
Pissnog, the Christmas Goblin, which hopefully by the time this episode is up, will possibly be out on streaming. I'm going to try my level best to get it out. I think at the very least we'll put it out on the YouTube channel as a standalone video. But this song, I mean, I think it took America, the world, by storm.
I would agree.
Piss storm last week, and it's a thing. Don't look it up. It's a thing that I was pretty proud of. I kind of shot it out in about 45 minutes, and I think it works.
Yeah, I think you did an excellent job. I hate you because it's been stuck in my head since you sent the first iteration of it, because it's a real pissy little earworm, that one.
It is it right? It's very catchy.
It is, and I think you made some really bold creative decisions with it that really worked out for it. So
are you referring to the sound of what is the sound of one man pissing? Now, I want to be clear about something. By the way, that is not a recording of me urinating. That is a sample I got from Splice. I would never
of
be
another
so
man
tactless.
pissing.
Well, presumably, but who knows? I don't want to I don't want to infer anything.
A note.
It-
You could do the one stream, but then another stream starts midway through.
In the song?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. It's not, it's relatively rare you get 2 streams, 1 bowl. That's a good opportunity.
No, I mean the idea of Pissnog is there with you. I mean, it really, there's a lot of questions and ambiguity around whose piss we're hearing.
100%. That's not 100. I totally agree with you, and that is by design. It is not. So when that piss sound, the sound of someone or something pissing comes in that song, it's not. Is that Pissnog? I mean, that would be the obvious assumption to make, but it's far from clear that that's what's intended.
It's sort of like the top spinning at the end of Inception. It's actually exactly like that.
Oh, so it's the question: are you really pissing? Or not,
Pisception?
right? Pissception, yep. Urineception, maybe better.
You're in a dream now.
Did you like the rhyming of urine and Turin?
Yes. And I think it's exceptionally funny because the arc of hearing like, oh, that Turin is weird. And then the rhyme still doesn't quite work and it makes Turin funnier in hindsight. Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Thank you. Now, for those, before everybody, we did get a lot of email about this. And before we get any more, I'm aware that in Italy, it's Torino, right? But I didn't want to say Urino because I felt like that would be weird.
Yeah.
From Tokyo to Torino, what is it? I'll gather around to guzzle down his warm distinctive Urino.
Distinctive also is one of my favorite little artistic choices in the song.
I was happy with that one. Because originally it was delicious, but I had said delicious earlier, and I didn't want to, it's a kind of maxim of good writing. You don't want to repeat yourself unnecessarily, unless it's part of the style. But that was not, I was like, I need another word there to really lock it in. And then there was just something about distinctive that was so purposefully vague that I enjoyed it.
Positive connotation, negative connotation. Who knows? It's distinctive. You'll know it.
Distinctive. That's right.
It's like porn. You know it when you taste it.
So I mean, I did 90% of the lyrics, but you had an important contribution to this song as well. So I sent you the first draft, and you contributed the "leave a nice hot mug of piss beneath the Pissmas tree." That was your line, and it's important to give credit where it's due.
Doing my duty.
Yeah.
Much like Pissnog is doing his.
And you also wanted to, actually, that's an interesting point. Is he compelled to do this when you say doing his duty? Is Pissnog, is this something that he's required to do or something he does for fun? Because that's far from clear, right? Yeah, actually, this is a good question in general. Is Santa Claus required to go give Christmas gifts, or is it just something he does, right? Is there some entity, a god, I don't know, some kind of
the big JC,
or some kind of shadowy conspiracy. That's forcing Santa doing penance for something.
That was my thought. I think that both Pissnog and Santa are deeply in debt.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Pissnog, we don't really want to talk about Pissnog's penance, even though I hear it's pretty long. Right. I like the idea. This must have been a thing. Has anyone ever played with the idea of Santa Claus? He's like serving out, he's doing time. The reason he does what he does is not because of, giving back to the children of the world or being a nice guy or whatever, but it's he's doing time for some horrible crime. Basically, he does the nicest thing imaginable because he did the worst thing imaginable.
Well, and don't forget
ago.
that Santa hates orphans, which is why they never get anything.
Oh, that's true. Yes,
there's that as a quirk. Is it that Santa massacred children?
I think this is maybe what it is.
Yeah,
is he did something so awful to the children of the world? Let's say,
and he hates children.
That's right. So, but yeah, okay. Here's the pitch. We're doing another movie pitch. At the top of the second best of here. Okay. Santa finishes his sentence. Okay. So he's been sentenced to, I don't know, 2,000 plus years of bringing toys around maybe I don't know if we're going to go back as far as the birth of Jesus, but some long period of time, let's say 1,000 years. Let's give him 1,000 years. 1,000 years of bringing toys and gifts to the good children of the world. So he compiles the naughty list, compiles the nice list, right? Goes around and gives presents. But he's been forced to for some reason. Maybe this is a reveal at the end of the movie, exactly what it is. We can come back to this. But he finishes, and now he's no longer required to do it. And the person he's been all along, by the way, he's hid this from his wife. Mrs. Claus doesn't know the old Santa. Okay? And this is actually hitting a little close to home, but I can't really get into why. Mrs. Claus, they met after he was delivering toys. So she just knows him as, to quote the literature, a right jolly old elf, right? So she's never seen the true Santa. So Santa, he wakes up in the morning and, metaphorically puts his face on before she can wake up, right? But he has this whole area that's off limits. There's part of the North Pole that nobody else can get into. It's like a Bluebeard's castle kind of thing, and nobody can get in there. Any elf. One time an elf got in there. That elf disappeared. Right? We don't know what happened to that elf. That's going to come out. That's going to come back later in the story. So he has an area, and what he's been doing in this area is he's been training, because he knows this day is coming where he's about to finish his term. Mm-hmm. And he's been training, he's been working out, he's been compiling notes. He has a Charlie kind of, board with the string and everything on it. Yep. And he has a plan for what he's going to do. And he finishes his term, and he's so tired of doing good. Whatever body has been imprisoning him or forcing him to the service is now, let's say, largely defunct. Which raises the question of why he's still been doing it. But let's come back to that. And he finishes, and now he's a monster. I mean, he's evil incarnate, because he doesn't have to pretend to be good anymore.
He's a demon, and the exactly jolly, right. Yes. Red-faced, happy, helping children is his penance.
Yeah.
And once that's up, the big jolly body is gone, and he is a jacked, hot little demon.
Yeah, and he's on what I would refer to as a permanent Rumspringa, right? He is out there. He's going to get all the evil. He's been saving up all the evil for 1,000 years.
And the problem is that he's been accumulating the nice list and the naughty list.
That's exactly, Layton is exactly where I was going with this, yes.
And he's ready.
He's ready. He knows all the people he can get on his side, all the naughty people, to help him. So true. Right? So he goes around, he still has the access to all the tech, right? He's got the sleigh, he's got the reindeer, he's got all the shit. So he goes around and he gathers up all the naughtiest people in the world. And they go on just a fucking nonstop bender of partying and sex and drugs and, all crazy shit.
Yeah.
This is a fun idea.
I do like that idea. It's a lot more fun than...
What's the title of this movie?
Well, it's tough because I feel like everything's kind of been taken. My first bad idea is just Naughty, but...
Naughty's pretty good. Yep. Here Comes Santa Claus. Maybe.
Maybe.
Too generic.
Yeah,
but not CUMS, not like CUMS. That you're not stooping to that here. It's not pornographic,
right?
It's like this is the Santa Claus version of Bad Lieutenant, is what this is.
Yes, it is. Is this also going to involve Santa dick out in a church screaming?
Hell yeah,
it actually completely aligns with what we're talking about.
Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, North Pole.
Yep, done in one.
Yeah, and we get Keitel in there, right?
Scream sobbing, dick out.
Yep.
Abel Ferreira.
All of
just going nuts.
Yeah. Great. It completes the Bad Lieutenant
Port of Call
trilogy.
Well, yeah, and I guess in keeping with it, because Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, fucking whatever, is not related to Bad Lieutenant, right?
Right.
Sorry, I also confuse it with Decker, Port of Call, Hawaii, because
I don't even know what that is. That rings zero bells.
It's part of the On Cinema cinematic universe.
Oh, of course it is. Yes, of course. Of course it is. Well, I'm less excited about theme music for this one, so I'm not going to have another song for Santa, because I can't top Piss Nog.
No, just coast, ride the success.
Yeah, I mean, as we all know, it's a classic mistake. Like, you have one kind of lightning in a bottle thing, and then you try to follow it up, and the second thing just feels forced and weird. Player select. There's not anything that we'd want to. No, I'm kidding. I love that album.
Well, I was going to make a joke about myself, so we're good. We're absolved.
No. That is not at all. I do not think player select is forced and weird. Although what is weird to me is that with Starbomb albums, we put one out, a year later we put another one out, then we waited 5 years, and then another 5 years. But hey, it's
that's the creative process.
That's exactly right, and you can't rush art like that kind of stuff. That's right. Yeah.
Well, on this show, we love to rush art, which is why we're going to do the intro right now. This is Late Night with Brian Wecht.
Yep, and I'm Brian Wecht. Sorry, you paused weirdly. My name is Brian Wecht, and I'm in the title of the show, but also in the title of the show is half another person, Layden Gray. Layden Gray.
Whoa, that's me.
That's you. And
Great.
We are... we're over 4 years into this podcast, like well over 4 years. Closing in on 5.
Year 5, yeah.
We're into year 5 very shortly, which is crazy to think. We're past. Last week was 250, episode 250. I'm doing this for a long time.
What have we learned?
Let's see. I've learned nothing about myself personally. I learned what's a good podcast platform to use. Well, I'll tell you what we haven't learned, which is how to successfully put out a podcast. I still feel like I have no idea what we're doing. I mean, this show, it's been doing great. People listen, and we do want to thank you, as always, everybody who listens to the show and is on the Patreon and comes to Discord and that stuff. And it's weird that we've been doing it for 5 years, and I still feel like I have no idea how to do this.
Yes.
I need someone. Yes, please continue.
I think that I'm speaking especially about me here, that I have no desire to do the sort of like engagement on socials that you kind of have to do to spread things now to our own detriment, but not to the detriment of my mental health, which is what would happen if I engaged more thoroughly to try to promote the show on socials, or if we tried harder to grow it. The internet's a very different place, and I don't even mean just even from when we started this show, but more so in terms of like, I don't know. I love doing this show. Posting is a sin, so I don't want to do
the worst. What if? Could I talk you into one last big score, where we try one last time to get this show huge, right? So it's a heist, and what we're stealing is attention. Okay. So we're gonna have we're gonna be. It's like Ocean's 11, right? That's where we're gonna do the whole thing. We're gonna get a team together, and we're gonna try to steal one last all-in thing to try to steal people's attention to become the most popular podcast in the world. Sounds like a lot of work. Okay, you're out. I get it.
Yeah. Well, because I think that the way that you get attention now, or you become a really big podcast, is by being an asshole and
100%.
Playing to the lowest common denominator and spreading misinformation and platforming lunatics, which I graciously do every week, but we don't need more than one.
It's a living.
Yeah, I don't know. I like doing our thing in the corner of the internet that we do it on. I would like it if
I do too.
we saw a little bit more conventional success with it, but I realized we're also not really trying that hard to do that. So,
and also probably have more conventional success than, I mean, not probably, definitely have more conventional success at this than the vast majority of podcasts. So also like this is going great. And if it gets too big, then it waters down what it is. So
yes, I think that's also not that I lay in bed at night being like, oh, I'm afraid of the show becoming too successful. But it is a thing where we have a very nicely sized show where the response to it and things said on it are not overwhelming in a bad way. It's it's nice.
I was talking to a friend who, sorry, I interrupted you, but I'm not going to let you finish. Some of a friend who has a podcast as well, and they were like, wait, you guys have like almost 400 people on your Patreon? Oh my God. And I was like, well, we got a great little community of supporters here. So what were you going to say before? You were saying something.
It's not important. It's coming from the mouth of a woman. So.
Yeah, we agree. There we go.
That old chestnut. Half of me wants to make a nicer version of that graphic, but I think it's funnier that it looks
Is that
like
even
shit.
possible? What is it? So for the people listening, do you want to say what I put up on the screen here?
Brian popped up a little chyron under me that says Woman's Corner in cursive. And it's the kind of cursive in the shade of purple that one might see at like a women's gym.
It's really bad. Yeah, that's right.
The kerning is on the N to the apostrophe to the S is
really
atrocious.
Bad. Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, Woman's Corner is over. By the way, something changed on the back end here. And I had to click
looks
through
different
something.
now.
It does.
Because things change. And as we approach the end of 2024 and open up into a year full of hope and excitement and things to look forward to, 2025. Yeah. I wish I had more to say about closing out this fourth year of the show and doing things in the new year and looking forward and reflecting on our success. But I don't want to do any of that. It's a show. Thanks for listening to the show.
Yeah. We should have a motto for 2025, like make it live in 25, something like that. Something real, like catchy.
Take a dive in 25.
I like that. Great. Out your knives in 25 for the third Knives
Rian
Out
Johnson.
movie. Yeah.
This is getting a little contrived, 25.
There we go. Great. All right. Well, listen, this is part 2 of our best of 2024. And, as with any year, we had some high highs and some low lows. Actually, I can't think of any lows. I just said there were no lows, but they're not all highs. Yeah. But as any year, there are certainly some things that stick out. We got through a bunch from last year or last week, I mean. But this week we were debating. We noticed that last week, and we talked about this, I think, in the show. It was a little guest light. So we and our amazing video editor Rich were brainstorming on what guest-centric clips could we include this week. So I think this week we're going to hear a little bit more for episodes with not just the two of us, but with a few other friends as well. The first one I want to put in here, this is actually a recent clip, which I really, really liked. And I have an update after this is over. This is my story from the Miles Luna episode, which is episode, we have the number here. What is it? It is 247, episode 247, where I encounter a young man with a distinctive nose for something in the elevator of Audrey's doctor. And we have a little discussion about, shall we say, this kid's strengths.
The Purge is tomorrow, Brian. What's the first thing you're doing?
Let's just establish what the Purge is. The Purge is everything
all
is
crime
legal,
is
right?
legal for 24 hours. Yeah.
Oh, I'm BitTorrenting like a lot of shit, like all of it, all that stuff. I would like full seasons of ER just are getting downloaded immediately. Because it's legal. Like, you can't stop me. I'm getting entire discographies. Of course, I'll pay the artist later, but I'm that's what I'm doing. I'm using the internet. Also, I'm gonna go on the dark web just to like poke around and see what it's like, because I think it'd be really fun. And I'm a little worried about doing it right now, just to be like, just see what's out there, maybe meet some new friends, and be like, hey, I'm not doing anything illegal, but just for today, like, do you want to hang out? And I think we could have a really, really good time. And I bet what would happen, and this is why I'd want to do it, is there would be other people exactly like me who are like, oh my God, let's go on the dark web for the first time today. This is so fun. And then we would become best friends. We'd have a little meetup group. We'd get together for coffee like every third Tuesday, and we'd talk about the stuff we want to do. And that way, when the next purge rolls around, we'd have a little community and we could all go purging together. That's what I would do on the purge.
That's friendship,
it'd be really fun.
You wouldn't download a car unless it's purge day.
Leighton, what would you do on purge day?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I could answer realistically and say that I am in a bunker somewhere holding multiple guns. But if I'm doing a more active role in purging, I'm that Criterion closet is not safe. Yeah. I will find it and I will go in there, and I'll bring my own camera too, so I can make a video while I'm robbing them blind of every Criterion.
Yeah, that's right. I'm busting into NPR and doing my own Tiny Desk concert. Because fuck them. They're going to hear this shit if they want to or not.
Yeah.
I'm also going to increase the desk size just a little bit.
It's a teeny
just
bit.
To fuck over
I don't know. I feel like they're constantly expanding the desk size. It's
at
not,
some point,
I wouldn't call that a tiny desk.
It's not too tiny anymore, and everybody knows it, and nobody has the guts to say it until now. Yeah.
Yeah. We're speaking truth to power. And the power, that desk is not tiny.
No, it's not. There are some...
Miles, what would you do on Purge Day?
Honestly, if I'm not cowering in fear, barricaded in my home, I think I'd want to just tag some shit. Like, I think I'd go out and get as much spray paint as I could, and just like, and I have to be clear, never in my life have I really fucked with spray paint outside of like decorating a science fair project board. So it's not going to be good, but like, hey, you got to start somewhere, right? I've recently been informed by a friend of mine in Austin that there is a very prominent dude or dudette who tags stench. Their name is Stench.
Ooh,
and
that's good.
Ever since someone pointed out, oh, dude, there's a stench. Stench is everywhere. Stench is all over Austin, Texas. I think Austin, Texas belongs to Stench. And I'd love to just like do my own, like I'd be like Stinky. Like I'd just like tag Stinky everywhere. Like I'm Stench's, I'm his Robin to his Batman.
You could also make a little like whatever you call the stencil for it. That's just like a bottle of Febreze or something.
Yeah, that's
and every time you see a stench, you slap a little Febreze there.
So I have a relevant story I would like to tell here. About a week ago, I was taking Audrey to a doctor's appointment. And after the appointment, we're riding the elevator down. And on the elevator with us is a mom holding a baby, let's say, a very young child, and has...
Was there ever a question in this?
I don't want to assume...
It could have been a sack of oranges, but we'll call it a baby.
Just because it looks like a baby, I didn't want to assume it was a baby, but it was a
Category 4, man versus baby.
Yeah. It was a young human. So let's call a young human a baby. Okay, can we stipulate to that? So this mom's holding a baby, and she's got two other kids with her, two boys who were maybe, I don't know, like 11 and 6. And we're riding this elevator down, not too many floors, 4 floors or so. And about 10 seconds into the journey, the 6-year-old boy goes, "Mom, I think that the baby," I forgot the baby's name, "the baby has a poop in the diaper." And this kid looks at me and he goes, "I'm really good at smelling poop." Looks me dead in the eyes. And then his mom is like, "Jason." And this kid then goes, "What? I love the stench."
No, Brian, you're fucking with me.
And this woman almost died on the elevator. She was mortified. And I'm with Audrey, who is also like, what's going on? But, I forgot an important part of this story. which maybe I can't believe I forgot to say this. So this kid looks at me and goes, I'm really good at smelling poo. And I immediately said, oh my God, me too. So I think that only embarrassed the mom more. Because my rule, when a kid engages with me in public, I am engaging. I'm gonna like talk to the kid. We're gonna have a good time. Like it's gonna be funny. I'm gonna start cracking dad jokes and be weird and stuff like that.
That's the right thing.
And tell them how much you love the smell of a baby's
How much you love the stench,
so
Brian.
I didn't tag in on that one because I was like, I feel like even me saying me too, good at smelling poop, that might be over the line. I don't want to get arrested. So when this kid then went, I love the stench, I was like, I'm gonna like actually let this one lie. And then the elevator doors open and this woman races out, dragging her children. And I watched, Audrey and I were heading one direction in the parking lot. She's going another. And I watched her do that mom thing where she's like, I can't believe it. You know, like a situation I've certainly been in a bunch of times. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Damn, dude.
That's amazing. You know, that lady is going to feel so much better when she knows that you've shared it with hundreds of listeners.
Everybody. And here's her name and address.
That is an S-tier child interaction.
All right. So that's actually a clip I remember because it was recent enough for me to remember that story.
It's a very good clip.
It's a very good clip. And here's the update from that.
Ooh, a coda to this story?
Indeed. Or I don't want to say a coda because I feel like the story could go on for a long time, right? The coda implies some kind of ending. This is more of a part 2 to this story.
Part 2?
A part poo. Now that's quality entertainment. I think the following week, or maybe it was 2 weeks later, we went back to this doctor, and taking the elevator down, the same family was in the same elevator with us. And it was that same mortified mom carrying the same baby with the same 2 other boys. And she did not clock us at all in any public way. So I didn't engage with the kid because I didn't want to embarrass this poor woman more than she had already been.
And you didn't want to be
embarrassed.
like, hey, I know you were really embarrassed about what happened in the privacy of this elevator, that you have an expectation of what happens in the elevator. Doesn't leave the elevator. I talked about your child and the thing that he said on a podcast that thousands of people listen to.
That's right. What's your name? What's your phone number? Can we hang out
Social
sometime?
security number?
Yes. Now, I know how much, I think I was kind of going against my instincts here. I know how much women love it when men talk to them in elevators. It's like a great place to just have a conversation about
to hang out.
Why are you wearing that? Give me a smile, stuff like that.
Where's my hug?
All the simple topics of conversation any normal human being would ask, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I restrained myself. I did not engage this woman in conversation. And actually, Audrey, because she's a child and has often, the recall of a goldfish, even though she's brilliant, we got out of the elevator. And I was like, Audrey, that's the kid that likes to smell baby poo. And she was like, what? No, like only I had to like prompt her a few times. I was like, remember in that elevator last week? No. That same family and the kid said he liked the smell of baby poo? No. You don't remember that? I talked to the kid he said, I love the stench. And she was like, I think so. Like, okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that family is well and that kid is finding more socially acceptable stenches to enjoy.
I do too. I mean, I'm actually a little bit concerned for his future because, he's got another, year and a half, 2 years tops of diapers to smell. So he loves the stench. So what happens when this kid's no longer, his little sibling's no longer in diapers? Where does that kid go?
To get his fix? Vaping.
Oh, yeah. Diaper flavored vape juice. Oh. That's exactly right. I had an idea.
The fact that you use the word flavored too. I know that vapes have flavors, but.
I was trying to think. Okay. So we know what an old fashioned drink is, right?
Yeah.
That's a new fashioned
Oh
drink.
boy.
And my idea, okay, here's the recipe that it is a work in progress. I'm not going to have all the elements. It's a dash of pancakes and syrup vape juice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that takes the place of the sugar.
Bitters. Oh.
Yeah, no, of the sugar, because you got a little sugar in there to make it sweet. Then you have the bitters, but it should be some really forced flavor of bitter, like pomegranate bitters or something like that. Okay.
I feel like if the liquid component isn't LaCroix or Liquid Death.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, we get a liquid. That's fine, because sometimes old fashions people put a little soda water in it, so that you can do a dash of Liquid Death. That's absolutely right. And then we need a celebrity alcohol, right? So who's a celebrity that has a bourbon? Does Ryan Reynolds have a bourbon?
I don't know, but if you get an ad break right after this conversation, you might hear him talk about it.
Yeah. And some kind of stupid celebrity bourbon.
The only celebrity alcohol I can think of right now is Dan Aykroyd's Skull Vodka.
Yep, Crystal Skull Vodka. There's Sammy Hagar's Cabo Wabo tequila. There is Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul have like a mezcal or something too, don't they?
That's true.
Let's look up celebrity bourbons. Now this is relevant. Celebrity bourbon. Not celebrity bourbon drinkers. Ooh, Esquire has an article. Okay, celebrity-owned bourbon brands. Oh my God, this is
Jamie
really
Foxx's
good.
brown sugar bourbon.
Thank you, Layden. I was right there. That's right. Jamie Foxx's brown sugar bourbon. What else do we got? Drake's Virginia
Black.
Okay, great. Dorinda Medley. I don't even know who that is. Oh, it's a Real Housewife. Okay. That explains why.
Brad Paisley's American Highway Reserve.
Jason Aldean. Okay, sure. Yep, there's Brad Paisley.
Scottie Pippen's.
Yeah, this is Digits. It's called Digits, which is just amazing. Terry Bradshaw, Derek Jeter's Bespoken Spirits. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. This rules. John and Ethan Wayne's Duke Bourbon Whiskey. All right.
Are all of these just money laundering schemes?
Sure seems like it. Here's Steph Curry has one. Steph Curry's Gentleman's Cut Bourbon. This is great. Ian Somerhalder and Paul Wesley's. Oh my.
So which bourbon are you picking for your new fashion?
I haven't even gotten to the Peyton Manning and Andy Roddick. And then, okay, well, did you get to number one, Layden?
I did. Would you like to share?
Do you want to tell us what it is?
No, you should tell us.
It's Bob Dylan's Heaven's Door Straight Bourbon Whiskey. I think we have to go with the Ian Somerhalder bourbon here.
Okay.
That's the one. So
it's that's a splash of Liquid Death.
Yep. A few dashes of pancakes and syrup vape juice. Mm-hmm. Cherry. We need some cherries or some orange.
A Tide Pod.
Now that's a very good idea.
It's
but
a
kids,
little.
we're not advocating for this, no matter how
Actually, I
delicious
am. They're delicious. It's just like a gusher.
Let's make it actually edible. Well, I guess there's vape juice in it already, so no. I think that ship sailed from literally the first thing I said. You know what? Throw a Tide Pod in there. Why the fuck not? Sure, great. You want it? You got it. And then I think that's it. I think that's a good drink right there.
Yummy.
Yeah.
Maybe did you just knock over that pile of clean towels?
It's a new fashioned. Love it. Okay, great.
I do see in this list that we have in our chat with Rich, the phrase, every time I look over to my second monitor, the phrase learning what cum was question mark keeps jumping out at me. Mm-hmm. So
do you want to set this up?
Yeah, sure. So on episode 236, we had the wonderful comedian Biniam. How do you pronounce his last name? I feel like an asshole. Biniam Bazuna. He was amazing. Very fun episode.
Yeah, very fun episode. He had a a hard out, and we blew past it because we were having such a great time. And he was very nice to give us more of his time. An old friend of mine and just a really, really funny, great guy. Been wanting to have him on for years, and it finally happened. So I was thrilled to have him on the show this year.
Yes, and I believe this is a couple of bits from that episode. It's kind of a continuous little rip about some things. So please enjoy this wonderful clip. This is a note that I wrote down like 40 minutes ago, and now I don't even remember what prompted me to write this down. But I'm curious about books and or movies that you saw as children, like in terms of this was assigned to you, or you were like on a bus to a field trip and it was shown to you, that are just like, why the fuck did they show us this?
Okay.
If you can think of any.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
This one wasn't shown to me by adults, but I was young. I think I was 11, and I went to my mom's best friend's house who lived in Minnesota, and she had a daughter who was like 13 or 14, and she was like, let's watch American Pie. So I was like, okay. And this is before I know anything about sex. So I don't know what ejaculation is. I don't know anything. This is before, like, so I'm watching it, and there is that scene where, like, that movie would be, I would be a funny rewatch, because I bet there's so much stuff in there where you're like, yo, this is basically rape or something. You know, there's probably a lot of stuff like that in that movie.
For sure.
But this scene where Jason Biggs as Jim is on the bed.
Jim Halpert.
And he has the foreign exchange student Nadia, and they are secretly live streaming her and this sexual experience.
Right. Yes.
She comes over to the bed and she's reaching for his crotch area, and he is like going like, and I didn't know what that was supposed to mean. So I was looking over at my mom's friend. I was like, does he have to pee? Like, why is he doing that? And she was just laughing, and she didn't explain. And then that is burned in my memory, because like later I saw, like not too long after, I saw something about Mary. And there's that scene where before the date, he jacks off, but he gets some of it in his hair, and then it makes his hair like this. Or no, he puts it in her hair. It's like hanging on him. And like, I was just like, first of all, the consistency of that is wild. I don't know who's, it was like
track for me. I mean, it seemed
I was like, I was like, this is Ben Stiller was dehydrated in that movie. But then I remember telling friends at school in like 5th, 6th grade, because I saw that movie, we were talking about like jacking off. And then I was like, well, it's something you do before a date. I remember telling them that as if I understood, because I saw that movie.
Pro tip.
And they were all like, cool, yeah.
Yeah, of course you do.
I wanted to say what my answer to this, what sparked this question from me is that I was on in the quote unquote gifted and talented class, which there's no way that it's still called that, even though it was called that through my whole school tenure. In middle school, if you were in that class.
I can tell you what it's called now at Audrey's school.
What's it called?
It's the School of Advanced Studies.
Whoa, that sounds like a master's degree.
I know.
Great. How old is she?
She's in 5th grade. So, but this is like a program at LA schools, LAUSD, where it's like the advanced kids or whatever. Anyway, please continue.
Yeah, for a while mine was SAGE, which was an acronym for something, and I don't remember what it was. Anyway, but the gifted class every year would get to go on a field trip to somewhere. So like one year it was to Atlanta to go see like CNN headquarters and go to the Coke Museum or whatever.
And this is from North Carolina for context.
Yeah. And so this particular year we were going to Washington, D.C. So we had one of the big buses. It wasn't necessarily a school bus. It was like a slightly nicer one that had the TVs.
On January 6th a few years back.
Jesus Christ. So it had the little, it had a DVD player and it had little screens. And so there were parent chaperones on the trip. And there was only like a limited range of movies that could have gotten approved to show. And we got to pick between Finding Nemo on DVD or Fireproof on DVD. Have either of you heard of or seen Fireproof?
No.
Okay.
I'm thinking.
Don't Google it.
Wait, am I thinking of Backdraft?
You're thinking of Backdraft.
Okay.
But so two movies obviously were like 12. And so nobody wants to watch Finding Nemo. And it was one of the moms being like, well, you know what? We're going to watch Fireproof. Fireproof is a Pure Flix type movie about a firefighter with a pornography addiction. Who's ruining his marriage with his pornography addiction, and then like
wait, how old are you at this point?
I'm like 12.
Hilarious.
Why?
Is it like magazines
rules.
or what is he addicted to?
No. It's amazing because they show him on his like big chunky desktop in the middle of the night in like his white tank top, like looking over his shoulder, and he's looking at pictures of boats online. And then there are pop-up ads of women like, do you want to see more? And he's like sitting there sweating over this like woman in a bikini on a pop-up on a boat website. And like, this is the full extent. It never shows him looking at hardcore porn. It doesn't show him jerking off. It's just him being tempted by like yacht website sidebar ads. And it becomes a whole thing with his wife. Like his wife is going to leave him because he won't stop giving into the temptation. And Fireproof, the logo of the movie, the two O's are wedding rings interconnected. But there's a scene in the movie where he gets fed up with his porn addiction and he like takes his desktop and takes it outside and like beats it with a bat. Anyway,
that is so funny.
With a bat.
Wait, do you remember when you were watching it? What was your conception of what he was addicted to? Like, did you know what porn was? And you were like, oh. Like,
oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But it was like, wait a second, this really prudish Christian mom chose a Christian movie, but the Christian movie is about jerking off.
That's amazing.
Because
How
was
that
the
better?
message was the message at the end that he got rid of it and then his wife was happy and their marriage was good? And
yeah, because he found God.
Incredible. I
love Fireproof. It will live in my brain forever. But just the fact that I think there was some other movie that was on the list that was like a normal, appropriate kids movie that this particular mom had vetoed for being inappropriate. So it's like, we can have a movie about porn and jerking off as long as that it's about how God will save you. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Gotta love a cum story.
Sorry.
What was going on there?
my alarm, so I can go put the "sorry, load is still wet" sign on I have to go.
Well, why don't you go bust that load sign on the laundry, and
you best believe
we'll see
I'm gonna do it.
if I fill some time or not.
Do it.
Okay, great. And there she goes. The sound we hear so often on the show of Leighton getting up. Now, one thing, maybe we'll talk about this when she gets back. Did you guys just see that chair move? That was crazy. If you're watching, and I'm not making this up, I don't believe in the paranormal, but if you're watching this on the video on our Patreon, Leighton's Cyberpunk gaming chair just moved, I think, on its own, and it's fucking crazy. Crazy. So one thing that we didn't really talk about at all on the show, and I don't even know why I'm doing this right now because I'm going to have to recap it once Leighton gets back, is Leighton's whole foot thing. This was the year that Leighton suffered a terrible injury and spent months, most of the year, like healing from it. And it's not exactly best of 2024 material, but it was an important thing that happened in the show. And she now, the reason that I thought of this is because you just watched her get up and walk away, which I think, 6 months ago was not possible. She wasn't even like walking around 6 months ago. Really crazy. You know what we have to put in here? Okay, hold on. She's going to come back, and I have already thrown to this clip. I'm going to make a little note to myself, is the story of Leighton getting hit by a car. I didn't even look up what episode this was in. It might even have been a mini episode, but I think it was a regular episode. We're going to put it in here regardless, and I will put in myself saying what episode it's from. But yes, this is the story of how Leighton, well after her foot injury, got almost hit by a car. No, yeah, hit by a car. That is the correct way to say it. Story of Leighton getting hit by a car. And this is Future Brian saying it's from episode 237.
You know what is another one of your favorite things?
Oh, do tell.
Is me coming to absurd forms of bodily injury.
Oh, you want to hit this right away, huh?
Yeah, why not? Hit this right away.
For legal reasons, I need to say I do not enjoy it when you get injured. I mean, it's funny. In retrospect,
it's really funny though.
It is very well. This particular incident is great. Well, since you're the aggrieved here, why don't you?
I am the aggrieved. Well, so my birthday was earlier in this month, and my father, who lives across the country, texted you asking if you would take, if you and your family would take me to lunch at Langer's and he would pay for it, which is a very kind offer. But
Langer's a classic LA deli and an establishment you are known to enjoy.
Yes. I am as well. Yes. We could not quite make a lunchtime thing with your family happen, but we could make a dinner at another establishment with Jory happen. So after several weeks of attempting to schedule this, we scheduled it, and we went to...
Including one last minute back out by you.
So my dog wouldn't get too hot and die.
I'm not saying it wasn't justified. I'm just saying we had a plan, and then... which was confirmed the previous evening, I might add.
Yeah,
and then the next morning, first thing, and I'm not saying it wasn't for good reason. I'm just saying we went from confirmed to, hey, can we postpone within, I think it was 12 hours. Yeah.
Well, I had not yet experienced what an evening during the heat wave was like. And and let me tell you, I feel like, would you not appreciate that I sent that text to you guys at like 5 a.m. the day of?
Better 5 a.m. than 4 p.m. for sure. Absolutely.
Regardless, we made it happen, and we did. You came and you picked me up, and we met Jory at Night and Market Song in Silver Lake.
A great Thai, but an unusual Thai restaurant in LA.
Yes, it's wonderful. And because it was hot and the sun was going down a little bit and it was a little bit cooler outside, we decided to sit outside at this restaurant, of which there's an inside. And let me tell you, this was partially informed by if I step into a restaurant and the music is too loud, I don't want to be there. The music was too loud.
Well, we also walked in and Jory put on his mask and you said, would you like to sit outside? And he said, I have a mild preference, which I know enough Midwesterners to know that what that means is I want this more than anything I've ever wanted and will be put out if I don't get it. Now, Jory would never say that directly. And if we sat inside, he would have been fine and kind about it. But he clearly wanted to sit outside. So, because I didn't care, music was loud, let's sit outside. They have 3 tables outside. We sat at one of them.
Yes. And fatefully, I choose the side with my back to the street. And so we sit, we look at food, we order some wines, and then you see, because I didn't necessarily see this happen. I saw it happen right before it happened, but you had the better view of what happened.
Yeah. So for context here. Yeah. All right. So we're at a, what they call in the business, a 4-top. And there are 2 seats that are right on the curb and 2 seats that are further in on the other side of the table. Leighton sits next to the curb. Jory and I sit on the opposite side. Okay. So there's a parking spot right behind Leighton. Amazing. It's actually pretty hard to park in this neighborhood. There's a parking spot right there. Maybe 10 minutes after sitting down, maybe not even.
Basically right after we sat
down. It was very soon. A Dodge Charger pulls up and backs pretty rapidly into this space, and while backing up, straight up hits Leighton. Leighton's chair, the back of Leighton's chair. This car is moving pretty fast and goes bonk. And there's a moment like we're all like, what? And what? I can't. Do you remember what you said? I think you said something like, they just hit me.
Yeah, no, my reaction was very much a non-reaction. And the way that I felt it too is that it tapped me enough to like push the crappy little wooden chair like into my body and push me against the table.
Yeah, it wasn't like moving super fast, but it was moving fast enough that it wasn't just like a nudge. It was like a push.
Yeah. And it was like loud-ish, as it is when a car hits a person. So all of us are in mild
We're like, excuse me?
wonderment. And the car is continuing to park. They have not made
Yes.
any indication that they have just
Nope,
hit
they stop once they've made some contact because I think the driver sensed that something was going on.
me. Yeah.
And they pull forward a little bit. The passenger side window rolls down and then rolls back up.
That was my
without
favorite part.
anything happening. The window goes down, goes back up.
I think they
No
were
one
checking to
leans out.
see if there were, screams.
Yeah.
And in absence of that,
The car then parks. A young woman with very short hair walks, gets out of the driver's side. And while there's maybe a couple minutes that are happening here, we're kind of like, what's going on here? We're chatting about what just happened. This woman gets out. It's very clear that nobody else at the table is going to say anything. So I say to her, I was like, you just hit her with
this is the angriest
car.
I've ever heard you.
And this woman goes, I said sorry. And we're like, what? Not that anybody heard.
No. Okay. I'm glad that it's not just me that didn't hear the sorry, because I really,
Yeah, I
Hello?
said sorry.
the stank on I said sorry. Bitch. Now you say that nobody else would at the table would have spoken up. You jumped in there
What?
pretty quick because
She hit you with her car.
I know. No,
Of
I'm
course I
glad.
did.
I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I just, I think that the mediating influence of you already came at her kind of hot, because I think had you not, some words would have been exchanged.
She waited. The fact that she waited until she got out of the car was the problem. The moment you think you have, say, hit a human being, you don't wait. I mean, there were a few minutes of like, cars pulling up, it's parking, blah, blah, blah.
We've
This
rolled
was not
down the
like-
window.
We've rolled down the window. We rolled it back up. This was not just like a bonk. Oh my God, are you okay? Nope. Bonk.
There was no "Are you okay?" at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
whatsoever. Which, when I think about it, if I had hit, and this is what we were talking about, if I had hit somebody with my car like that on accident, if I even suspect it, it would immediately be hazards. I'm jumping out. Are you okay? I'm so sorry.
Yes, of course, because who knows what
Like
the
a
fuck
normal
happened.
fucking person. And then
Yeah.
this couple goes into the restaurant to eat at the same
Yeah,
restaurant.
so a guy gets out of the passenger side. This guy, I didn't love the way they were dressed personally, but I'm not going to attack their personal style. Also, when you have three Rizzlers sitting at a table like us, it's it's hard to compete with that. And I think they felt a little
They just want to
intimidated.
take you down a peg. Yeah.
100% Layton couldn't agree with you more. So I think they were already on the defensive. Maybe this was part of their strategy in hitting you. I don't know. I don't want to comment on that.
They
I
hate
can't
to
read
see a
other
girl boss
people's
winning.
minds. They really, really do. It's women not supporting other women is what this was a
Exactly.
classic example of. And anyway, so this guy gets out. They walk into the restaurant, and we have a conversation like, "What the fuck just happened? Can you fucking believe this? This is nuts." Sort
And
of
then you both
conversation.
start insisting that we should go inside.
Insisting, I think, is a strong word. for
No,
what?
because I was getting like genuinely mildly pissed at you guys. I was like, no, we're gonna sit out here. I'm the
was-
one who just got hit by a car. We're sitting outside.
Jory was more the one instigating the maybe we should move inside conversation. I'm
So
not
we
going to say I
so
disagreed
we can
with
go
him,
be
but
with them and stare at them. Just again, if I had done this, if I had even tapped the person, regardless of my plans to eat at said restaurant, I would immediately get in my car and leave out of sheer shame.
yeah.
To go inside the restaurant is such a move.
I said sorry. Well, they said
I
sorry.
said sorry. Yeah, when I got home, many shower arguments were had with what I would have said had you not
Well,
said something.
do you want to tell the fine people listening to this what you did say at some point during our meal to the owner, waiter?
What? Just like that couple, they just came in, hit me with their car. So if you want to spit in their food,
That's the one.
Yeah, which I didn't necessarily mean. I was angling for a free dessert of some sort. That was my ultimate goal. But just let it be known that what I lack in my ability to confront someone with directly, I will be a little cunty about it, and subterfuge.
I thought what you said was fine. However, I would also say there's no way this is the first time this has happened at this restaurant, given where those tables were.
Yeah.
They are all, you were sitting like, if you had backed up a foot, you would be off the curb. You were right there. And when a car parks, sometimes parts of the car hang off, right? It doesn't stop at the rear wheel. There's no way that those chairs have not been bumped into before. This is definitely an issue the restaurant has faced. Now, has a human been hit? I don't know. Usually when people park, they're a little more careful than that. The car did have a long rear end, which is nice because that's what I'm into. But it was long on the back.
It was a tacky,
no way this
brand
is the first
new,
time that's happened.
Nice Dodge Charger.
This car sucks shit. I hate Dodge Chargers. If you drive a Dodge Charger, therefore I hate you, of course, is
You're
what I'm
a cop.
saying. Yep, that's right. Oh, you're definitely a cop. Yeah, this couple had couple energy. They were a cop couple for sure.
Going home and copulating all over the place.
Oh, they were.
Which means
especially
just
with
finding
the fresh,
people for existing in public.
the fresh thrill of almost taking a human life that really gets
Vehicular
going,
manslaughter. Attempted vehicular manslaughter.
Woman slaughter, please, Leighton.
Oh, you can't spell woman slaughter without laughter.
Yeah, some of us
funny.
do like to make that distinction. Yeah, so I watched you get hit by a car.
Yeah, and I was not hurt in the moment. I will say that for the next 3 days, my entire body was sore.
Yeah, you got bonked.
Yeah, it was
in the spine. It hit your spine, right?
Yeah, it was mainly the biggest impact was the top of the chair into my upper back, to the point that I thought I was going to have a bruise. But honestly, the most painful part was because it's like the shitty, bistro table sets where it's like slats.
And,
my ass bones were particularly affected by the impact.
and I can't remember. Were your shoulders showing? Did it actually hit your skin or?
I don't know.
No, I can't remember.
I didn't have any bruises, and I checked.
Okay.
Yeah, it just, I said sorry. Bitch. Well, so that was me getting hit by a car. It was
And
fun.
already, this is on top of your recent foot adventures.
Yes.
There's a lot going on.
And as I texted my dad, and he responded like, "This is exactly your sort of luck."
Okay. Well, a truly crazy thing to have happened, but a lovely dinner with Leighton and Jorian. Okay, so now I can hear her coming back right now. All right, how's your load?
Still wet.
Great.
I think I got cursed. I might be cursed, Brian, because when I came down to where, my apartment is, I looked over and this is what I saw.
Ooh. Wait, are you texting me something?
I am texting you something.
Well, so actually, while you were gone, I threw to a clip,
oh,
which we haven't discussed yet because I couldn't believe, it occurred to me that we have not discussed your foot adventure this year, but it's not best of 2024 material. However, what is the story of you getting hit by a car.
yes.
And I think it wouldn't be a proper best of 2024 if we didn't put that you getting hit by a car story in. So people have already heard that.
Yeah, because it's incredibly
No.
funny.
It was so funny. Yeah. All right. Wait, is this the text?
I did text you
Oh
something.
my. Whoa, a black cat sitting next to a stone cross?
It's literally a headstone.
That's so fucked right now.
I know, right?
Wow.
I
Like-
should probably mention that I walked under a ladder and a couple of mirrors shattered while that was happening, but it's probably fine.
Yeah.
I just love how
that seems
piercing
fine.
the gaze of that cat is.
Well, you know how the mirror shattering thing works, right? You shatter one mirror, it's bad luck. You shatter another, you're back. You're fine. So you have to shatter an even number of mirrors for good luck and an odd number for bad luck. So one mirror, it's called in math we call this a Z2 grading. The one mirror is bad. Couple mirrors, you're fine. 3 mirrors, you're fucked. 4 mirrors, you're great. So how many mirrors was it?
I wasn't counting.
Oh, well,
which is gonna, because then how am I gonna know?
We'll see what happens. Yeah, maybe, just watch your other foot this year to see
I'll
what
watch
happens.
my other foot and also watch out for cars fucking hitting me. I said
you're
sorry.
sitting down. You're sitting down. Yeah, I said sorry. Oh, makes me mad. So load's good. All good.
Load's good. It's not, the load is not as wet as I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's
but still,
often the case.
Really? Still, I left my note.
Yeah. I mean, what do you mean, really? Yeah. Sometimes you think the load's going to be really wet, and then, when you actually are in front of it, you're like, oh, actually, a little. Well, it's not that it's not
dry.
wet. It's just not as wet as you thought.
It comes out with like a sepulchral, like a
that's right.
tomb opening.
Yeah. That's a fun description. That guy comes powder. Right.
I guess, yeah.
It's like fucking.
I feel like I wouldn't go for
Crypt Keeper
powder.
Dick. That's what I would call that syndrome.
Dick Keeper.
He's got Crypt Keeper. Why is Crypt Keeper so hard to say? Crypt Keeper Dick. Yeah. Great. All right. Well, it is time for another clip.
Oh my goodness, that's so soon.
Well, I was talking for a while.
No, I was saying that facetiously.
You yeah. How's your foot? Let's get a foot update real quick. How them piggies doing? What? Don't make what I call in this house when Rachel makes that face your I love this face.
Right. I don't know. The foot's fine. It's cold. It hurts. The scars. Well, my dad asked how I was doing, and so I sent him a picture of the scars. Like, it's doing better, and he was like, "I really thought it would be better than that by now." As somebody who has to see it every day, looks shockingly good but I think to everyone else whose foot it isn't, it's just shocking.
But it looks like, is it the same size as your other foot now? Like it's fully not swollen?
It's still swollen and shaped differently, and I can only fit into 3 pairs of shoes, and I had to buy a sized up pair of nice shoes because I can only fit into Uggs and Vans and Converse.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. And running up and down the stairs all day doing laundry has felt super good.
That's actually like every date I've ever been on. We get into my van, we converse. The girl goes, ugh. Right? You get it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I get it. Okay. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Another joke that, as we say in the business, landed. Yeah, why don't you pick a clip? Ladies' choice, Leighton. Ladies' choice. Here on Late Night with Brian Weck today. It's of course it's ladies' night every night here on Late Night.
Well, and speaking of it being ladies' night, plus my own personal misfortune. Along with my own personal misfortune. Brian, I don't know what episode this is from. I just know that it's me talking about a couple of bad dates that I've been on.
Mm-hmm.
Roll the clip. Have I talked about I went on a date with this guy when I was in college, and he really loved musicals, and he was asking me if I had ever seen Avenue Q.
Wait, is this guy Nathan Lane? Because if so, I have some bad news for you.
I would be honored to just breathe his air.
Imagine? Yes, totally. Dude. Same. Yeah.
And he was like, have you, and I, of course, being polite, was like, oh, what are your favorite musicals? And he was like, oh, I love Avenue Q. And I was like, what is that? And then he pulled out his phone and headphones and put the headphone, and they weren't like earbuds. It was like full on cans. So he would just like sit there. He made me listen to the entirety of Everyone's a Little Bit Racist in a crowded coffee shop with the headphones on while scanning my face intently. And I was like, cool. And I like went to take them off at a certain point. And he was like, no, you have to finish it.
Wow. Yeah, good dating strategy.
We did not go on a second date.
Yeah. Avenue Q is fun. It's a fun show to see. I don't think it's my favorite music in the world, but it's a very fun show.
I like the concept. I'm just, me and my preferences.
Well, and also it was like just getting in there when the puppet thing wasn't played out yet.
Yeah.
in fact, was probably a big reason it got played out. But yeah, Avenue Q is a fun show.
Hypo Clearing says that's entrapment. It's true. There's so many. God damn it. I continue. My best, worst first date is a story that I can't tell on this show. Brian, you've heard it.
Please, can you say anything? It's such a good story. Is there anything you can say?
What can I say? There was a moment in there where he was singing along to songs from in the Airplane Over the Sea. Which, I love Neutral Milk Hotel as much as the next, but it's okay. So that was part of it. That was the least weird part of the date. What else can I say? It starts.
This is, can I say a single word? And you know what word I'm going to say? Blueberries.
That wasn't on the date, though. That was the preamble to the date.
I just wanted to see you react to it, basically.
Okay, right. Okay, a part that I can say. He picked me up. We went to Arby's. We went to the Arby's drive-thru, and he gets curly fries. Only curly fries. There is a Chick-fil-A right next to the Arby's. He gets the curly fries from Arby's. We go to Chick-fil-A. We sit down in the Chick-fil-A. And he orders the waffle fries, and he pulls the curly fries out of his pocket so he can enjoy both the curly fries and the waffle fries.
Please tell me the curly fries were not in a container in his pocket.
Just some loose.
Yeah. Loose pocket fries. Oh,
Bobcat says first red flag. I'm going to be honest. This was like the 6th red flag by this point. And this was the beginning of the date. We were going to see the movie Now You See Me 2. I had never seen Now You See Me 1.
Actually, look, those movies are terrible. Now You See Me 2 is better than 1. For sure.
I wouldn't know because I went back to his place to watch the first one on a pirated MacBook, and this is where I have to end the story, but also where the funniest parts of the story. Bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
Have you ever left a date midway through? Just like been like, I gotta go.
Oh, of course not. No, I have no self-respect. And it's also like that date. I have a second worst date that is like right up there, that there are like 5 separate points that I also should have left on that date. But there was a guy, one part of it, like one of the moments where I should have been like, you know what, I'm out, was when he was like, hey, you want to smoke some of this? I'm going to sell you the best weed in Savannah.
And he pulls out some curly fries.
No, he in fact made an everything bagel with cream cheese and 2 hard-boiled eggs that he ate in front of me. And then was like, hey, do you want to watch Star Wars?
The date food.
Do you want to watch Star Wars The Clone Wars? And I was like, yeah, I'll watch an episode. He proceeds to show me 6 uninterrupted episodes of Star Wars The Clone Wars, but like dropping me in the middle of a season.
That's incredible.
As with all things in life, if they're going to be shitty, they'd better be funny also, which they are.
I don't think you should go back to anybody's place anymore. It seems like that's where a lot of this is going wrong.
Brian, after the restraining myself from calling the story that I can't tell the thing that I want to call it because it's the only thing I'll refer to it as, you know exactly what it is.
I know exactly what it is.
After that, no, I am not coming anywhere near your home. In fact, I'm not going anywhere at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I like now. Rich has a good suggestion here. Let's get him on the show.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He can pontificate about blueberries at all.
I could do a makeover. Leighton, what if I gave him, what would you call it if I did a makeover? What's the segment where I
get whacked?
You know, it's like a kid, bar rescue kind of thing. Bro
get
rescue.
Whacked.
Get whacked. Yeah, but that imply, I guess so. Yeah.
Go ahead. Put Woman's Corner over me. Silence me.
Well, it's the opposite. It's putting you up on a pedestal, Leighton. It's highlighting your opinions and your voice. Now, I do believe I can. Wait, hey, talk for a minute here.
I'm saying words and stuff. What the fuck?
Keep going.
Fuck you, Brian. You fucking piece of shit. I hate you.
That's right. I muted you. Yeah, thank you. Fernando points out we finally get to listen to a man on a podcast. That's right. It's about time men's voices were heard in podcasting. And I've commented on this before.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, dating advice from me: don't go to a second location. Don't go to a first location. If a man who you've never met calls you in the middle of the night to pontificate about what their ex's asshole tasted like, don't then go on a date with them the next day.
Well, actually, I have some good dating advice. Start at the second location. So it's actually the first location. Then you don't have to get to the second location. It's genius, right?
Look, just as context for these bad date stories, I had I had more manic panic than brain cells. Don't be like me.
Yeah, I think that's good dating advice.
Don't be like me.
What would Leighton do? So here's the shirt. It's what would Leighton do? And there's just a big X through it.
Do the opposite of that.
Do the opposite. Now, here's the interesting thing. Now, I have not been on many dates in my life. I've been married for, I know, what a shock. Who would have thought? And I've been married for a long time. So I've been married for about 17 years, which means I haven't been dating for about 3.
That joke never doesn't make me laugh.
I know. And at some point, I just have to do it. But even before that, I don't think I went on any catastrophic dates. I went on dates where there was just no chemistry from the get-go, but that's not a catastrophe. It just happens, right?
I would take that over any of the ones that I've had.
Yeah, I've told my best bad dating story on the show, which was the "Why can't your alone time include me?" girl. But that's really the worst one.
Yes, indeed. What are my other? One involved the guy forgot we had a date, which was a standard with him. He ghosted and stood me up a lot, and I was very desperate. Once again, more manic panic than brain cells. And I went to his place. It wasn't actually his place. He was staying at a friend's place, and he opened the door having clearly just woken up after sleeping on the mattress in the corner. And it was really hot because we were in Savannah, and he was not super thrilled that I was there. And I was like, do you have any water?
You were scheduled to go on a date, and he just forgot and woke up. Okay.
Yes. Not his house. And I was like, hey, can I get a glass of water? And he was like, the water's turned off for some reason. All I have is PBR. It's like 11 a.m.
Oh, okay. I was really hoping you didn't say BR there.
BR?
All I have is P.
No, it was just PBR. It was not refrigerated PBR. It was warm PBR. And then we went out on a walk so he could buy a pack of cigarettes. And then he took me to McDonald's and we got McChickens. And then there was not a table. So we sat on the floor of not this guy's house and ate McChickens.
On someone else's mattress.
No, just like on the hardwood floor talking about John Waters. Mm-hmm. And then
I thought he didn't have any waters.
This is again me trying to be tactful as we're on a live stream. Where his mattress was, there was a back door that was presumably into a yard, but that back door had like a window in it, and so we were doing stuff that you would do on a mattress. Can picture it. Then I look up and there's a fucking woman staring through the thing, because turns out that wasn't the back door. That was the fucking front door. And this was the neighbor coming in to check on what was happening with the water.
Wow. Fantastic.
I can't even say that's in top 10 most humiliating moments of my life. It's like, doesn't even come close.
What state of dress were you in at that point?
Not. Rich asks, what's worse, this date or getting cholera? The fact that I have to think about it. Yeah, so life is cool and fun.
Life is cool and fun.
Yeah.
Especially on a chill Sunday live stream. Okay, great.
I think the saddest part about that story is that all of the best parts of those stories I could not say on this show.
Yeah, which then raises the question of why are we putting it also in the best of, but...
Well, because even
it's still
the
funny,
parts
though.
that I can't say, even without that, it's still pretty funny.
Yeah. I agree. All right. I actually don't remember any of those. If they're the stories I'm thinking of, then I remember them.
Yeah, you remember.
They're the stories I'm thinking of. Okay.
Yes.
I do want to check something real quickly here, so just give me a moment. Why don't you? I filled time when you were doing whatever before, when you were dealing with your load. So why don't you?
I can totally fill time.
Just fill time for a second here.
As a connoisseur of frozen dinners, I just have to give a really big shout out to the Devour brand. They, like, so many frozen dinners are a hit and miss. I feel like every single thing that I've gotten from Devour is so good. The white cheddar and bacon, a classic. Recently I tried the little like pesto tortellini, pretty good. The Alfredo mac and cheese with chicken and bacon. Getting chicken in a frozen meal that's actually like a decent size and pretty moist and tender, rare. But Devour did it, and I devoured it. That's so yeah, Devour and Saffron Road are two of my favorite purveyors of frozen meals, and one cannot possibly forget the Humble Uncrustable, of which there is now a raspberry flavor, and it's the best thing ever.
Great. All right. Well, I looked for the thing I wanted to look for, and I couldn't find it, so time well spent, as always, here on Late at Night. Now, Christmas is coming. And by the time this airs, Christmas will have passed us by. Right?
Wow.
This is coming out 2 days after Christmas on December 27th,
Yes.
I believe. What are your holiday plans, Layden?
Well, I have a deadline on Christmas Eve, and then my dad gets here on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to seeing my father. We have plans for good food and activities.
And you'll be over here on Christmas Eve,
I will
of course.
be over there on Christmas Eve. But in the interim between today, Sunday, and Christmas, there is so much shit that I have to do. So I'm incredibly stressed out. But by the time that you listen to this, the stress will be hopefully gone until the following, return to real life.
Are you a massage person? Do you enjoy massages?
I do, but it's been a long time.
Same. I'm exactly the same. I love a massage, and I can never get the wherewithal to like schedule one. And also, every time I look at the price, I'm like, ugh,
Yeah.
I'm not fucking paying. At LA Massage, the legit ones, first of all, the cheap ones are like scary cheap. And the normal ones are like too expensive. And finding that sweet spot is like, I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I would like to take a vacation, but work, I think might preclude me from doing that for a while. And also I have, fun fact about me, I've literally never gone on a vacation by myself as an adult. My one was going to the Bahamas with the gamers last year, but everything else has been like I've traveled, but for work.
Yeah, that's
So-
that's honestly what I did most of my adult life. And then I was, at some point I was married, and then I wasn't really vacationing by myself anyway. So, but I would go on like work trips and then take like a few extra days to do a thing by myself. That was my
Yeah.
vacation for most of my adult life, and remains that way.
Great. Well, this is a rich vein of me talking about the frozen dinners I enjoy and the things I'm stressed out about. And how I'm so stressed out.
Well, I do want to do a couple more clips here. And then I was editing last week's episode, and I was like, it was getting to be like really fucking long. So I cut some stuff. Yeah. There's another thing I wanted to throw in this week, coming back to Dan Brown, my friend and yours, Dan Brown. We started off, I believe, episode 209 with a discussion of the early chapters of Angels and Demons. So I want to, because that clip, we talked about it last week, but we didn't end up putting it in the episode. I do want to put it in here because there's some really good stuff. And that clip goes here. References to all works of art, tombs, tunnels, and architecture in Rome are entirely factual, as are their exact locations. They can still be seen today. The Brotherhood of the Illuminati is also factual. Now, I might ask, what does factual mean in this case?
As are their exact locations, Brian. You know, it's promising when an author starts a book and in the final sentence of the author's note is just like, you want a grammatical error? I will give you one.
But the interesting thing to me is the difference between factual and true. Like, I guess factual is maybe the better word here because they are quote unquote facts. But it kind of stood out to me as a tortured phrase. Like, there's a better way of saying this. There are a lot of tortured phrases in this book. At one point, he used the word, what was it? Pentagrammal, which is not a word. I checked in the dictionary because it really rubbed my ears the wrong way. And I was like, okay, pentagonal, sure, but pentagrammal? Nope, that's nowhere to be found. Anyway, I'm not quite sure what he means by factual here, but also he commits grievous errors against fact on like literally page 1 or whatever. And immediately you're like, okay, everything this guy says is complete horseshit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the problem with slowing down to check this, because I think in the past when I've reread this book, like I reread this in the past year, just as a quick little read, and I probably read most of it stoned while almost falling asleep, as I do with books often. That's the way to do it, yeah. Yeah, and going through it with a fine-tooth comb to talk about it on this podcast, it's just like, I even texted you the like English is the universal language of silence, BTW, which you said is a true thing.
Yeah.
But because I can't trust a goddamn thing the man says, I'm doubting and Googling everything. And half the time it's just made up. There's a whole thing about how skepticism is evil in this book. That's like a fucking quote.
Oh, that whole fucking thing. All right. Did you want me to read the prologue? Because it's terrible?
Yes, you should read the prologue. Right. And everybody, please pay attention to this first sentence.
Physicist Leonardo Vetra smelled burning flesh, and he knew it was his own. He stared up in terror at the dark figure looming over him. What do you want? By the way, exclamation point right away instead of a question mark at the end of one. La chiave, the raspy voice replied. The password. Because, by the way, this guy doesn't speak Italian. He had to translate it for English, but also
to the Italian.
Okay, well, I should just read it and not done it. But I don't. The intruder pressed down again, grinding the white-hot object deeper into Vestra's chest. There was the hiss of broiling flesh. Oh, sorry, Vestra. I said Vestra. It's Vetra. Sorry. Vetra cried out in agony. There is no password. He felt himself drifting towards unconsciousness. The figure glared. Ne avevo paura, or however you said that. I was afraid of that. Vetra fought to keep his senses, but the darkness was closing in. His only solace was in knowing his attacker would never obtain what he had come for. A moment later, however, the figure produced a blade and brought it to Vetra's face. The blade hovered, carefully, surgically. For the love of God! Vetra screamed. But it was too late. Fucking piece of shit. It's so stupid.
Brian, you have a promising future in audiobook reading.
Why, thank you, Leighton. High atop the steps of the Great Pyramid of Giza, a young woman laughed and called down to him. Robert, hurry up. I knew I should have married a younger man. Her smile was magic. He struggled to keep up, but his legs felt like stone. Wait, he begged, please. As he climbed, his vision began to blur. There was a thundering in his ears. I must reach her. But when he looked up again, the woman had disappeared. In her place stood an old man with rotting teeth. The man stared down, curling his lips into a lonely grimace. Then he let out a scream of anguish that resounded across the desert. Robert Langdon awoke with a start from his nightmare. He had been reading the book Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. The worst thing he'd ever read. This can't be real, he muttered to himself. A book this bad can't possibly exist. But then he looked down, and the book he was holding was the book Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. Wait, said Robert Langdon. Am I a fictional character, or am I real? His smoldering gaze looked down at his own creamy thighs. I'm not going to continue this bit.
Was that all off the dome?
Yes.
That was fabulous.
Thank you.
I would like to skip forward like a page because I want to talk about the way that Dan Brown introduces characters. Because if it's a man,
That's one thing. If it's a woman, Dan Brown has a compulsive need to blurt out their weight immediately.
Every single time. I actually looked around in this book because it's so obvious. People, and they're usually overweight, by the way. At some point in the book, I tried to make note of anytime a new male character was introduced, what the description was. And not once did I find an indication of the man's weight. However, every single woman that he introduces, her weight is commented upon. Very few. There's like 5, maybe. Her weight is noted immediately. And it's insane. By the way, also, how does he refer to his protagonist in the book?
Shall we start with how his appearance is introduced?
Well, okay. Actually, before we even get to that, just real quick, page fucking 1 of this book. My name is Maximilian Kohler. I'm a discrete particle physicist. What the fuck are we talking about? A discrete particles are discrete. Discrete means in little chunks, right? As opposed to continuous. Discrete is the opposite of continuous. Nobody in the world says I'm a discrete particle physicist. That is redundant. Particles are discrete things. That's not a thing. That's not it. I mean, yes, being a discrete particle is a thing, but it's redundant. No scientist in the world would call themselves a discrete particle physicist. It's fucking stupid.
But Brian, he's the director of CERN.
Oh my God. Yeah. The CERN, which has a free fall chamber and a gun range.
The free fall chamber, which Dan Brown thinks it's very important to note that there's a fat woman in there.
Oh, he's got to talk about
plot relevant.
Yeah, he's got to talk about the fat lady in the free fall chamber. Right away, I was like, "Are you kidding me with this discrete particle physics?" And then you're a professor of religious iconography at Harvard University. Symbology? I hate the talk of symbology as if it's a real thing. Look, it might. By the way, the shit that we're saying might be wrong, but please, I'm going to say something Dan Brown has never said. Please fact check us. If I say something wrong, I want to know about it. Such concerns don't seem to ever cross Dan Brown's mind. Anyway, discrete particle physicist fucking got me because right away I was like, I hate this dude. Okay, please continue.
Okay, before we got to that, I forgot about the other thing that I love. On page fucking 2, a knowing groan escaped Langdon's lips. This had happened before.
Much groaning.
One of the perils of writing books about religious symbology was the calls from religious zealots who wanted him to confirm their latest sign from God. Last month, a stripper from Oklahoma had promised Langdon the best sex of his life if he would fly down and verify the authenticity of a cruciform that had magically appeared on her bed sheets. The Shroud of Tulsa, Langdon had called it.
I this is going to be... There we go. Best sex of his life right there. There it is.
This is going to be the first of almost every 5 pages that Dan Brown talks about how much everyone badly wants to fuck Robert Langdon, who is totally not Dan Brown's self-insert at all. Please don't flip to the back and look at the author photo after reading the description of Robert Langdon, which we will now proceed to read.
As Langdon sat on his brass Maharishi's chest and savored the warmth of the chocolate, the bay window caught his reflection. The image was distorted and pale, like a ghost. An aging ghost, he thought, cruelly reminded. It's the fucking dumbest thing I've ever read.
An aging ghost?
An aging ghost. Cruelly reminded that his youthful spirit was living in a mortal shell. How old is he supposed to be here, by the way?
Oh, it's about to say. It's about to say.
Okay. Yes. Although not overly handsome in a classical sense, the 40-year-old Langdon...
Wait, it says 45-year-old for me. Does it say 40-year-old?
Mine says 40. Yeah, it does. Look.
You can't see shit here, but to be fair, I'm reading a pirated copy that has some iffy.
Okay.
Interesting. Either way, 40 or 45. Okay, 40. Hello? Old?
You're an aging yeah. Also, in academic circles, that is like fully mid-career. Like that is not old anyway.
He feels so weird about being old that like that dream of, oh, Robert, I knew I should have married a younger man comes back.
This guy's 8 years younger than I am. I fucking hate him. The 40-year-old Langdon had what his female colleagues referred to as an erudite appeal. Wisps of gray in his thick brown hair, probing blue eyes. Sound familiar? An arrestingly deep voice, and the strong, carefree smile of a collegiate athlete a varsity diver in prep school and college. Langdon still had the body of a swimmer, a toned, by the way, we just talked about how much this guy is aging, and he still has the body of a swimmer, a toned 6-foot physique that he vigilantly maintained with 50 laps a day in the university pool. Langdon's friends had always viewed him as a bit of an enigma, a man caught between centuries. On weekends, he could be seen lounging on the quad in blue jeans, discussing computer graphics or religious history with students. Other times, he could be spotted in his Harris tweed and paisley vest, photographed in the pages of upscale art magazines. Upscale art magazines at museum openings where he had been asked to lecture. Although a tough I'm not going to read this next part. Oh no, actually,
but it has the
because it's so
dolphin
bad.
in it.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry. Although a tough teacher and strict disciplinarian, Langdon was the first to embrace what he held as the, quote, lost art of good, clean fun. He relished recreation with an infectious fanaticism, which, by the way, I first read as fascism, that had earned him a fraternal acceptance among his students. His campus nickname, the Dolphin, was a reference both to his affable nature, and his legendary ability to dive into a pool and outmaneuver the entire opposing squad in a water polo match, which he still did. So he's complaining that he's too old to move or whatever, and yet he's a fucking expert water polo player. Everything about this sucks. Also, by the way, what his female colleagues referred to as an erudite appeal. What are we talking about? The guy is so horned up for himself, but only if a woman's looking at him, which is
Brian, he's so old. He's so decrepit at the age of 40.
I will say one thing about this book is, even though it is kind of explicitly racist in some ways, it does not strike me. It does not strike me as homophobic, which is actually kind of a win.
Leonardo Vetra smelled burning flesh and knew it was his own.
Is that
those are the first lines of
that's from memory?
Yes.
Wow.
But also everyone just heard the clip, and if that's not it, it's going to be really embarrassing for me.
Yeah, I didn't even remember that name, Vetra.
Yep.
I think that's for the best of. That's it for the book stuff. I don't think we have any more clips from our bad book clubs because we ran a lot of them last week. But again,
those are my favorite episodes that we did.
Really fucking fun. We're going to do more next year. That's to be sure.
Well, speaking of guests, I don't see any of these on this list that I'm looking at, but I feel like this is sort of like a bingo free space in a best of, and that space is in the shape of our friend Jory.
Thank you. I was just thinking, why are there not more Jory? Where are the Jory clips?
She agrees.
Yes, every dogs famously love Jory. We're gonna Leighton deals with maybe here's a Jory clip.
I can't think of what my other ones were. But yeah, what about you, Brian? What was your best Halloween costume?
Well, for a few years, because I owned a monk's robe, I went as Rasputin because I couldn't think of anything better. And I was very into that period of like Russian history.
Wait, are you serious? Are you not kidding?
Yes, I'm not kidding at all. Like I'd say 7th through 9th, maybe even 10th grades, I just went as Rasputin every year.
The song was already out, right? The Rasputin.
That song's been out. Yeah, I think that's even late 70s.
Okay, I thought so.
Wow.
The Boney M song you're referring to.
I didn't know the artist, but that rips.
Yes, it's Boney M.
Was part of the appeal the legend of the massive dick?
Well, a gentleman never kisses and tells, but...
Well, the massive dick that also reputedly was cut off at some point, right?
Oh, yeah. You can see pictures of it in a jar. It's massive.
That's awful.
Yes, that, and also had... I remember reading something that said it had a judiciously placed wart, which...
Ribbed for her pleasure?
Yeah, I was wondering if that was how you meant.
Well, yes, indeed.
That's awful.
Which I was like, okay, look, I don't understand how that would be appealing, but I don't know.
What is it fungal?
They're viral.
Viral.
Aren't they a kind of virus?
I hate this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of dick warts, I need to make a call.
Wait. We need to explain the Zhivago thing to Jory.
I agree. I was going to stop this down at some point.
You do it.
Well, Leighton and I were playing a Sporkle game yesterday where it was a very easy game where they gave you part of a movie title and a year, and you had to find the last word. You had to pick from a collection of words all beginning with the same letter what the last word of the title was. So it was like, a bunch of J words, and it was Freddy versus blank, and you had to pick Jason or whatever. Anyway,
that's so like Freddy versus Juggalo. Gigolo, excuse me. No, that's a G. I'm an idiot.
What were the other J ones? A Dawn of Justice, right? Batman v Superman, Dawn of blank. Anyway, out of curiosity, we went to the, what was it, XYZ?
Yeah, section. I just put it in the chat.
And it's in the private chat there on StreamYard, Jory. And there were some really good options. My favorite was the sequel to Malcolm X, Malcolm XXL, which I think is a very funny idea. But Zhivago showed up, of course, in the Z's, Dr. Blank. And then it became a running joke where you just kind of, we were generating some like really good ones. Die Hard with a vampire. I remember being really,
the good,
really
the
funny.
Bad, and the vampire.
Yeah. The point was, it was an easy game, but a fun bit generating machine.
Yeah. And so with Zhivago on there, it became impossible not to just throw Zhivago into every single movie title.
Yes. Have you seen Dr. Zhivago ever?
I haven't.
Neither of us has either. What is it about? What do you think Dr. Zhivago is about as a film?
Trying to remember what that even would be. Oh my God, I'm so mad at myself. What's that Burt Reynolds movie?
Smokey and the Bandit?
I should have been more specific.
Boogie Nights?
The one where he has a lot of chest hair and facial hair.
That's all of it, isn't it?
Oh my God, it's not even Burt Reynolds. What's happening to me? It's Sean Connery.
As Zardoz.
With the giant head, yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Can we edit this out?
No.
And in fact, that would be a good one for this game. Oh, wait, no, it's one word, so it wouldn't be a good one for this game.
Also, if you had just said the movie with the giant head, I think we would have known what you were
Yes, that's right. The John Boorman movie with the giant head.
I feel like Dr. Zhivago is just that, where it's like a very like hallucinatory social fable sci-fi thing.
See, my guess, for some reason, I've always thought that it was in the same vein as like the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, solely because there's Doctor in the title, and also Zhivago is a funny name. No, it's like Russian World War II.
Russian Revolution. No, it's Russian Revolution. Oh. So it's even early. It's actually the Rasputin era, I assume.
Wow. Is Dr. Zhivago a historical figure that we're fools for not knowing? We collectively are fools for not knowing? I'm not taking the blame for this.
So, no. I mean, is it a romance? Yeah, it's a romance with a hot Omar Sharif. Oh, and look at Rod Steiger, Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness.
Someone named Rita Tushingham, which I really like. By the way, we went for Rachel for her birthday on Monday. I'm just going to assume we both texted her. We went to the Forest Lawn Cemetery.
Brian!
Yeah, what? Yes, Jory?
You know how my brain works and that I actually feel bad at bits like that.
Yeah, me too.
Which is why I do them. But Jory, I think you get a pass, of course. You know Rachel tangentially. But if Layden had forgotten, that would be a much more serious crime. But
yeah, I totally remembered and texted your wife.
But she wanted to go to Forest Lawn Cemetery. So we went there and saw...
Which one?
The big one, kind of Burbank adjacent.
On Zoo Drive?
Near that, yeah.
Fuck Zoo Drive.
Yeah, wow.
I also hate Zoo Drive.
You miss one exit and then you are stuck there.
Your host.
It's like it's 11 minutes easily. Yeah.
But we went to the graves. She wanted to see Carrie Fisher's grave because they share a birthday. Monday was Rachel's birthday. I think you both probably called her. And so she wanted to see Carrie Fisher's grave because they share a birthday. And so we went to see Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds' grave because they are buried in the same place. And we also saw Liberace, who has a really great grave. Ronnie James Dio.
Whoa, hold on, this rules.
Yep, Ronnie James Dio's grave has a giant painting of some kind over it. It's very odd.
Wow.
Who else? Lou Rawls.
Okay, that's dope.
Betty Davis. God, who else? Walter Lance.
That rips.
Woody Woodpecker, of course.
Yeah. It was just at Universal Studios, and there was like a little plaque dedicated to the memory of Walter Lantz. And I was like,
Lantz cartoon.
The only reason I think about Woody Woodpecker anymore is the David Lynch story about the 5 Woodies.
I don't know that one.
It's one of those ones where I love David Lynch so much, and it crosses the line into him seeming just genuinely out of it instead of like creative and funny.
Yeah, hold on. I've got to find
Dan Deacon song, the Woody Woodpecker, the early Dan Deacon song where he samples the laugh.
I don't know that. That sounds dope.
I think it's on Spider-Man of the Rings, but I could be wrong. Yeah.
Wait, Jory, can I get you to read this David Lynch quote? I'll put a link to it in the chat. I'm sorry, it's a Reddit link.
So there's this story that Lynch was at like a convenience store, and they had just like a bunch of Woody Woodpeckers.
Hold on,
this
is like the full story in the image with the quote.
So not in the David Lynch voice, because this is an omnipotent narrator. David Lynch is recalling a day in 1981 when he says he rescued 5 Woody Woodpecker toys that he saw hanging up as he drove past a petrol station. I screech on the brakes, I do a U-turn, go back and I buy them and save their lives, he says seriously. I named them Chucko, Buster, Pete, Bob, and Dan, and they were my boys, and they were in my office. They were my dear friends for a while, but certain traits started coming out, and they became not so nice. Looking straight ahead, he says with a grim finality, they are not in my life anymore. And that's the entire story.
That creepy cat was sitting directly in front of my door, staring at the door.
Oh, by the way, the moment you left before, that dog started barking.
Yeah. Huh?
But when you left before to deal with your load, the dog was barking.
Really?
Yeah. Just for a moment. All right, another clip I want to put in here. Fun episode this year with one of my favorite comedy bands, Wolves of Glendale, whom I just saw with Rich, video editor Rich, a couple weeks ago. And we discuss Glendale and maybe makes noises. And this is from episode 239 with Wolves of Glendale discussing the Americana.
I have an important question for you all.
Mm-hmm.
What are each of your favorite places in Glendale?
Ooh, that's an easy one for me. Wow.
Well, I think we need to, for people who don't know, what is Glendale? Let's start there, because some people are not familiar with the Los Angeles area. So describe Glendale to an outsider.
It's known as the Jewel City. Glendale is northeast of Los Angeles. And it's actually a really huge area. There's a lot of places that are like La Crescenta, for example, which is another whole area.
It stands for it's croissant in French.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome. See you.
It's an expansive area, but it's very it's like suburban, quiet, lots of parks, little parks, and I think that's what we all loved about it. It's quaint.
Well, and I think there's something important to mention here, which is that Glendale has one particularly important establishment / experience. And of course, I'm referring to the Americana.
Yep. Felt that coming.
The G, as I like to refer to it.
Yes, the Galleria and the Americana, an incredible place to shop, see movies, walk around, enjoy time with your loved ones.
I no longer live in Glendale.
Enjoy the music of Frank Sinatra.
Yes.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say.
That's
I used to live like a 15-minute walk from the Americana. And after a busy day, I would walk from my door and I would just take like 3 laps around the fountain and I'd just like turn my phone off.
Fly with me.
Exactly. I would go to C's Candy and I would get a vanilla lollipop and I would enjoy the lollipop and take 3 or 4 laps around the fountain and listen to some Frankie and get back to work.
Do you guys know anyone that has ever lived there? I know one person that lived
like in
at
the apartments
Americana.
Upstairs?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I don't know someone that has lived there, but there was a time where me and my now wife, then girlfriend, were looking for like auditions and stuff like on Craigslist and just like random stuff to do with extra time. And we found this one that was shooting at one of the apartments at the Americana. And so we were like, well, we don't know anything about this. It doesn't pay very well, whatever, but we need to know what it looks like in these places that we walk by all the time. And we went and it was a hellhole. It was.
Really? I believe that.
Like not very well, but I think it's the fault of the owners of the place who are crazy people. And the sketch made no sense that they were trying to shoot, and it involved a live chicken. It was basically like they were pretending like we were at a Benihana's, and they were going to kill
apartment?
a live chicken. Yes, at the apartment. And so now we forever, connect that experience with like God knows what people are doing with this Americana place.
Well, luckily you can just go down to C's Chickens and get a chicken for the sketch.
Easy.
Yeah,
That's what I would do. I would go. Whenever I needed to blow off steam, I would go to C's Chicken.
Yep.
Get a whole chicken and eat it, and walk a few laps around the G.
Yeah. Work off
And
the
the
chicken.
Sprinkles actually has a chicken vending machine. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You get a broiled chicken for
Right.
$16 at a vending machine. It's awesome.
Quarter in, and
That's
it goes
Glendale.
plop. That's
the
Glendale. That's what
Americana.
Glendale
Well,
is.
wait,
That's Glendale.
because I want to very quickly just give shout outs because you asked our favorite establishments in Glendale. We have a few. So Fish King has to be mentioned. We all love Fish King.
Dude, yes. Fish King is the best. I
That's
love
the
Fish
only
King.
number one option. That's the one at the top.
I would say a close two would have to be Da
Highlight?
Juice Bar.
Oh, did you above highlight?
DA Juice Bar for
Wow,
me.
that's
You
bold.
can go there and get great wraps, sandwiches, juices, smoothies. It's unbelievable. And then, of course, yes, Tom Bones is correct. Highlight Coffee, which is dark in Glendale and rules.
If I could circle back to the Juice Bar for 1 second, their breakfast burrito
Please.
is made with mashed potatoes, which is a real dark horse in the breakfast burrito landscape.
Yep. Well
yeah.
said.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love the Brand Library.
Yeah.
I would work there often and write, and it's this great arts library that's in an old mansion by the fella that used to own all
Yes.
of Glendale in like the 20s.
Yep.
This is the one that's on the top of the little hill in the
Yes.
park.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And there's an incredible hike above it that's short but intense and really fun.
Yeah, that library is great. Such a cool old building. It's got this like kind of living roomy vibe. I really, really like it. Yeah, Glendale, I feel like is the subject of some mockery, but actually seems like a pretty great place. I know a lot of people that have lived there and love it.
It's sort of the Nickelback of cities.
Yeah. It's like you can make fun of it all you want.
Well
but,
said, Eric.
But then, you listen to How You Remind Me, and guess what?
You know all the words.
And then you go to their concert and there's 10,000 people here.
Yeah, they sell out SoFi.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So laugh at that.
Right. Easy to make fun of, but then you eat a fish taco from Fish King.
Yeah.
And you go,
Shut your
I'm
mouth.
an idiot.
Yeah.
We
Shut your
bought
mouth
hats
real
there,
quick.
actually.
The poke there is really solid.
It's
too,
amazing.
right?
It's all
I
solid.
Probably get that once a week, my dog.
Okay. Now, I think we have time for one more clip. So, Leighton, is there anything that's like speaking to you? Anything that's jumping out as like a yes kind of moment?
No.
Well, no. You know what? I'm not even going to talk about that. I'm going to skip. We had to cut so much shit from last week's best of because I kept
Because you were
It's
on
a-
one.
I was on one, and I kept going off and then saying shit where the moment I said it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to cut that. And so I'm trying to be.
And as you'll notice, when you say those things, I get quiet because I don't want to add to the cutting out load because I know it's going to be cut.
Yeah.
You know what? That would be if there were like a worst of version of the best of where it was just all the stuff that we had to cut out, including.
That's the Cancel Me Daddy.
It's true. That would be the
episode.
Cancel Me Daddy compilation.
Cancel Me Daddy.
But it wouldn't. I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing where I'm like, okay, there are like 10 things that I want to say right now, and I can't say any of them because you're just going to have to cut it out. But
Right.
rest assured, there were some great and not so great moments that.
Is there
No.
a bad moment that we can say publicly right now? Was there something that happened maybe in the last year, maybe not, that you would be willing to come out on
Well,
record as saying
Because it doesn't look bad for us, is my thought.
All right. Well, let's do one more clip here just to round it out. Is there?
I think we've talked about all the ones on the list that I'm looking at.
We have the second Chris Grace clip.
Great.
Great. Okay. Let's
Do it.
All right. So our final clip is fittingly one of our favorite guests. He was on last week's Best Of. He's back this week. We're talking, of course, about Chris Grace. One of the joys of this podcast has been, Leighton, introducing you to people that I love and knowing that you'll get along with. Bill Childs, Chris Grace, so many other people, and watching you just like hit it off beyond recognition with Chris has been like having so many of the same interests and, you know, opinions and like sense of humor. It's so great. You know, Chris is a wonderful guy and has been I think possibly my all-time favorite guest on this show.
He's certainly up there.
Every time he's on, it's like, could we please go for another 3 hours? So we're going to finish this Best of Part 2, and in fact, Best of 2024 with another clip from our pal, Chris Grace.
Brian, after we saw Chris's show with your sister, you asked the group if we wanted to go to a bar afterwards. And what was my response to that?
Oh, I mean, I can't really exactly remember. Do you remember your precise response? I mean, it was a no. It was a decided no.
It was what always happens. Anybody will suggest, let's go to a second location. And that sounds terrible to me unless it's to go get ice cream.
Yes.
Because I'm a child and I will happily go get an ice cream. I'm not going to a whole new place to start a tab and continue to drink, but a little treat.
Wait, what about a hipster pub that's mostly ice cream?
I like that idea a lot.
You know, I think you could have
avocado with booze in it.
Yeah.
I think you could have done that. I think there's a couple places in Koreatown that have that vibe, that have like an ice cream mochi boba. Like I've picked up boba at a couple places near because I live near Koreatown, where like I was like, oh, it's like 11 o'clock at night and there's a bunch of people here just having a late night boba and hanging out. Sounds like great. In a bar type situation.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I do. Well, I do remember during that conversation, Leighton, I suggested to you, I had been thinking it would be great to open a bar called Second Location. So if you ask someone on a date, you know, you could be like, oh, I met him at a second location. And all your friends would be like, no, why? You know? But I do like the idea of like a pub, but it's a pub environment or whatever, you know, kind of thing, but they don't serve alcohol. Right. Like they serve.
Now that sounds
ice cream. Like
a thing that I don't want to do, because I don't want the crowd that would get like, I feel like I would go in there and everyone's talking about like Steven Universe and shit. And I'm not about that. Like I would rather be in a room with a bunch of like, you can't hold an open flame near any of these people or they will combust due to being so thoroughly soaked in alcohol. Despite not liking drinking, I will take that over what I'm imagining for the late night ice cream shop.
That's interesting because I have often lamented like, okay, I don't think I really have a problem with like Steven Universe, Rick and Morty type things, but sometimes I get a little depressed that like I am 50 years old and a lot of my friends are in their late 30s and 40s and 50s. And like, all they want to talk about is Steven Universe. And I'm like, could we talk about the Zone of Interest instead? You know, like, you know, like, could we talk? I don't know. I don't have to only talk about like Kurt Vonnegut or whatever, you know, but like, I don't necessarily only want to talk about like Rick and Morty and Death Note, which, you know, both of which I like.
Yeah. And I very similarly, I don't want to shit on these things, but it's this like toothlessness that I don't enjoy or fuck with very much at all. Like if people are like, and this is truly not me trying to be like an edgelord, but
I already love what you're about to say.
If someone's pitch to me is like, it's really heartwarming, I'm immediately fucking out. Because I like having heartwarming interactions in my real life and having heartfelt relationships with people. I want my media to be nasty.
Oh, well then you're gonna love this movie I watched over the weekend, Wonka.
Oh no.
It was actually pretty good.
Was it heartwarming?
You know what? A little bit. And I have to say, I went in expecting a complete piece of shit, and I enjoyed the movie. and I did fall asleep during it.
Oh,
Nice. What a guy. What a clip.
What a life.
And what a show.
What a show indeed. This has been our best of 2024, part 2. A testament to how much fun this is to do, that we can actually get 2 parts out of
And
a
not
best
just
of.
because we're milking it.
No, and we're really not. Like, these are legitimate things we like. The show remains a high point of my week, and I am grateful to be here doing it with you as frequently as we do, and also to have all the wonderful people on as guests and as part of the community of listeners that we have here. You know, as we come into the new year, it's a nice time to reflect on what went down, so to speak, over the last 12 months. And this podcast has been a continual source of joy and support. So
Yes.
I want to say thank you to you and to everybody who's a part of this for being here every week.
Yeah, and hopefully we get to do lots of fun stuff and meet cool new people in the new year, and we'll have plenty more great stuff to cut out of the show and never see the light of day.
That's right. By the way, if you want, and if anyone needs incriminating things that Leighton says, I edit the episodes and I have a stash. So all I want to say, and I really do mean this, all I want to say is everything has a price. Everything. Right. So you know how to get in touch with me. Just reach out and make me an offer, and don't lowball me. And I mean that, like, don't, like, the first thing I need to see is some fucking respect in these emails. Okay. So if you come at me with a low offer, I'm not even going to write back. Hold on. I'm doing a thing. Shut up. When you email me, first of all, use my title, Doctor, right? Dr. Wecht.
Is that 4
come
doctors?
at me. Yeah. Dr. Wecht. Make me a good offer. But I also will say I'm probably cheaper than you might think. So it's got to be a good offer, but don't like overthink it. Right? Is what I'm saying here. I want to see a respectful offer, and I might come back at you. I certainly will, because I'm going to try to milk every cent I can out of this sort of thing. But when you come at me with an offer, just make it reasonable. And it doesn't have to be crazy high to show some respect, right? $5 is what I'm looking for here. I need $5 at least.
Literally, what I was going to say is just last episode, we had to cut out a thing that happened as the ramifications of you making an offer like that to the audience of like, oh, totally do this thing. And then they did it. So be careful what you ask for, Brian.
What, emails? I don't mind if people email me. Email me with monetary offers for
to blackmail me?
It's not blackmail. I'll just send them the clip. They might be for personal use. We're not talking about blackmail. Is really making an assumption here, Leighton. By the way, I mean, I shouldn't say by the way. I should say if anyone was going to blackmail you with these clips, it would be me. But I have a code of ethics that wouldn't allow me to blackmail you. So I'm not going to blackmail you. Now, if someone else blackmails you who happens to have the same email address and phone number as me, that I can't control. That's a separate thing.
Great. Well, at least we have this on record for the eventual court case.
Yeah, there is 100% chance that this podcast ends with us in court.
Litigation. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's your dream? Who would represent you? Who's your dream lawyer?
Am I a prosecution or defense? That does kind of.
What do you think? If we end up in court, are you prosecution or defense?
I'm on the prosecution side.
100. Obviously, you are. For sure.
Yeah. Mark Bankston or Bill Ogden. They're the two of the co-chairs on trying the Alex Jones Sandy Hook case.
Oh, that's cool.
They're very good, and they have a lot of panache too. So
that's great. So
but if I needed a good defense lawyer who I knew, regardless of what I had done, could get me off, it would be Jose Baez.
Okay, great. I was going to pick for me, my ideal defense attorney is Seth MacFarlane. I don't think he has a law degree. I just think he'd be good at it. You know, he'd charm the court by singing, right?
Yeah, and quoting lines from his iconic show.
Like, you got to admit that baby's pretty funny, right? You got to admit that.
I guess.
Yeah. All right, we got there, folks. Have a great
We finished.
holiday. And yeah, we finished. That's right. At the same time, yeah, that's awful. I shouldn't have said it. Why did I say it? Oh,
Happy New Year, everybody. Here's to another 20 years of Leighton Night. Goodbye. Leave a nice
Bye.
hot mug of piss out for Pissnog.
Leighton Night is produced by Brian Wecht and Leighton Gray. Sign up for our Patreon at patreon.com/Leighton Night. Follow us on Twitter at Leighton Night, on Instagram at Leighton_Night, or email us at leightonnight@gmail.com.